Good evening, everyone, and welcome to this edition of Mikey's Saturday Nightmares. Thank y'all so much for tuning in and joining me this evening. I hope everybody had a safe and wonderful and happy Merry Christmas. I did. Christmas was okay. Christmas was all right over here. I hope you all enjoyed the holiday season, and we still got New Year's coming up. So, um, I also want to say welcome to the new subscribers that we picked up over the past few days. Welcome to the family, and I hope you enjoyed the content that I'm putting out. Now, on today's episode, we're going to talk about a horror classic, another one. I know last week we did Aliens, which that's a classic sci-fi horror. This time we're going to talk about a film that came out on November 16th of 1984, and it was directed by the best to ever do it, Wes Craven, rest in peace. And he directed such films as The Hills Have Eyes from 1977. He also directed a film called Deadly Blessing in 1981. And of course, he directed Scream from 1996. Um, the Hills Have Eyes from 77 was an incredible film. Don't get me wrong. But in my opinion, I liked the second one better. Um, I don't know what it was about it. I don't know. I can't really explain it. But when I think of The Hills Have Eyes, I automatically draw to the second part for some reason. The remakes were, they were okay. They were all right. They were a little bit more, they were definitely more graphic than the original Hills Have Eyes movies, for sure. And the film we're going to talk about today is called A Nightmare on Elm Street. Now, like I said, this came out on November 16th of 1984, and the film stars the great Heather Langenkamp, who plays the character of Nancy, and she also played in such films as Wes Craven's Shocker from 1989. She also played in a film called The Demolitionist with Nicole Eggert from 1995. I think I don't know if I said that correctly. Shocker came out in 89 and The Demolitionist came out in 1995, just to clarify. And she also played in a film called Home in 2016. Now, I have not seen Home, but from the looks of the picture that I found, it looks like a kind of creepy movie, so I may have to try to find it, see if it's streaming or whatever, and check it out. Shocker was a great film. It was funny, and it was everything that it was supposed to be. It wasn't really horror all the way through. Yeah, it had its parts, but it was more of a spectacle than anything else, and I enjoyed it. I really enjoyed that movie. The Demolitionist was an okay action flick. I watched it because it had Nicole Eggert in it, and at that time, around that time period when she was putting stuff out, I kind of had the hots for her. She's an amazing actress, though. Very, very good actress. And the film also stars the great Johnny Depp, who played the character of Glenn, and he's also played in such films as Secret Window from 2004, Nick of Time from 1995, and he also played in 2017's Murder on the Orient Express. Now, I have not seen Murder on the Orient Express, not the new one. I have seen the original and I loved it, but I have not seen the reboot. Secret Window is a fantastic thriller. Excuse me. Secret Window is a fantastic thriller. I thoroughly enjoyed that film. And Nick of Time is an action thriller, and it's pretty good. It's a decent flick too. All three of those films are pretty decent. Well, I don't know about Murder on the Orient Express, but the other two are decent films. And finally, the film also stars John Saxon, who plays Lieutenant Donald Thompson in this film. And he also played in such films as Nightmare Beach from 1989. He also had a little role in From Dusk Till Dawn from 1996. And of course, he played the original Black Christmas from 1974. Now, I recently watched Nightmare Beach on YouTube. I found it on YouTube and watched it there. Not a bad little slasher film. It wasn't too bad. Coffee. Of course, now whoever posted it on there did blur out some of the kills. Um, so I would like to try to find that unedited. That way I could watch it, for get the full effect of it. But some of the kills in that film looked pretty cool if I could have seen them. But it was a decent flick, a decent slasher flick. From Dusk Till Dawn, what can you say? Quentin Tarantino, fantastic vampire flick. George Clooney, phenomenal flick. And Black Christmas, also a very good flick. Very, very good flick. For that time period, 1974, there was some pretty shocking elements in that film. And it is definitely a cult classic. Definitely a cult classic. So the plot for this film is teenager Nancy Thompson must uncover the dark truth concealed by her parents after she and her friends become targets of the spirit of a serial killer with a bladed glove in their dreams, in which, if they die, it kills them in real life. All right. So, that being said, let's go ahead and check out the trailer for A Nightmare on Elm Street. Roll it.
The kids of Elm Street don't know it yet, but something is coming to get them.
There's something out there, isn't there?
You could just see cuts happening.
What did that, Lieutenant?
I don't know.
What's the coroner got to say? He's in the jar and puking since he saw it.
They're gonna kill me for sure.
Did you do it?
There was somebody else there.
He was locked in a room with a girl who went in alive and came out in a rubber bag.
No one knows where it came from or who it will visit next.
Nancy? There's something wrong with you. You're imagining things.
Nightmare on Elm Street.
Do you believe in the boogeyman?
No.
Whatever you do, don't fall asleep.
No!
She's the only one who can stop it. If she fails,
I'm your boyfriend now, Nancy.
no one will survive. From Wes Craven, director of The Hills Have Eyes and Last House on the Left, a new masterpiece in fantasy terror, Nightmare on Elm Street.
All right, that was the trailer for A Nightmare on Elm Street. It had a budget of $1,800,000, and that's estimated. But the gross worldwide was $25,865,384. Very, a very big difference in those amounts. Very big difference. This film was the first film led more towards. I think the first film and maybe the second film led more towards the horror aspect of the character of Freddy Krueger. The other films became kind of comedic in spots with a bunch of one-liners, which is fantastic. Don't get me wrong. That just developed the character and made him more likable as a villain. But the first two films were more horror sensed or horror based, I want to say, and that made it phenomenal. That was phenomenal. All right. So filmed on a low budget and using a mixture of dizzying camera techniques, A Nightmare on Elm Street does not stop at being unique. The use of a few set pieces and masterful props are perfect at creating the atmosphere for this horror film. There is a strong use of poignant lighting and shadow techniques scattered throughout the film. These take great focus on the incredibly nasty makeup for the iconic villain Freddy Krueger. Wes Craven uses sly editing processes and music to delve inside the film's story. The film runs at a steady speed, never feeling rushed or unnecessary. There is nothing in this film that you will see that feels like it's forced or it doesn't play into the film in any way at all. Everything that comes out of this film was meant to be in that film. Um, it doesn't feel like it's slow paced. It's very fast paced, kind of fast paced film. But everything that happens in the film is either part of the plot or it lends to character development in some way, shape, or form. So there's not any kind of unnecessary banter or anything like that I feel is in this film. Everything has an ends to its has a mean to its end, uh, in one way or another. I'm still fighting a little throat thing here, so bear with me. Um, there is tension throughout the whole entire film. Sound effects are extremely well done, namely the chains dripping water and the scraping of Freddy's blades against metal. That is the most irritating sound that you will ever hear, other than one other sound. Um, but it's a very high pitched, and it adds to the tension and the fear that the film is trying to set, that the pace of the film is trying to set. The boiler room set is very unnerving, completely with hissing pipes and the aforementioned dripping water with chains. The films the film created an entirely new convention for representing dreams on screen. They are filled with an airy, murky quality, but so many of the awake scenes are as well, which makes it difficult to tell whether they're dreaming or if they're awake. And that too lends to the ambiance and the tension of the film because you don't know whether they're dreaming everything, whether they're dreaming at that point in time, or if they actually did fall asleep. Um, and it keeps the viewer on guard whenever characters so much as close their eyes, even for a moment. This is truly not only a horror classic, but a genre defining film, written and directed by one of the best to ever do it, Wes Craven. Um, this film was fantastic. It, like I said, it spawned, I don't know how many sequels, 8 or 9 sequels. Um, but they're out there. And like I said, in the other films, they kind of shifted away from the horror stuff, uh, solely, and kind of gave Freddy I guess you could say, a comedic tone. Um, but it didn't hurt anything. It made him a more likable villain, and it gave his character even more character than what he already had from the original films. Um, so that was pretty cool that they were able to do that. And it didn't, most of the time when you do stuff like that, it kind of ruins the aspect of the whole film. But in this case, it did not. In this case, it did not. So we're going to move into some notes for the film. New Line Cinema was saved from bankruptcy by the success of this film and was jokingly nicknamed the house that Freddy built. Well, That's pretty cool. New Line had a great history in film. Um, I didn't know at that point in time that they were going bankrupt though, so I'm glad the film came out and saved the day. Let's see what else we got here. One of the main reasons Johnny Depp was chosen to play the character of Glenn was because Wes Craven's daughter thought he was dreamy and threatened to run away from home if he wasn't cast in the film. Okay, I don't know if I believe that or not, but if it came from Wes Craven's mouth, I believe it. But that's just I don't know. That's that. Well, I don't know. I don't know. I'm not going to comment on that because I'm not that much of a Johnny Depp fan. I like Johnny Depp, but I'm not that much of a Johnny Depp fan. All right. Wes Craven came up with the idea for the movie from a series of articles in the Los Angeles Times over a 3 year period about a group of Southeastern Asian refugees from the Hmong tribe, several of whom died in the throes of horrific nightmares. Okay, that's pretty cool to know that that came about because that this movie came about because of something like that. I mean, it's sad, yes, but it's pretty neat to know that that's where he got the idea for the film from. Robert England cut himself the first time he put on the Freddy's glove. That I'm not surprised about. I'm surprised he only did it that one time, if it was that one time. Um, but it said he did it the first time he put them on, so I'm sure that's not the only time he ever did it. But till he got used to the fact he was wearing it. But that's kind of neat to know. Freddy Krueger has less than 7 minutes of screen time in this film. Yeah, I mean, he wasn't in there a whole lot, and what he was in was more or less basically like the dream state stuff, which is pretty cool. But he lays such a big presence in the film that it feels like he was in there a lot more than just 7 minutes, you know. So that's pretty neat. Over 500 gallons of fake blood was used in the filming of this movie. Was used during filming. I'm sorry. Over 500 gallons of fake blood were used during filming. I can believe that. I mean, the scene with Glenn, blah, 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 Glenn, yeah, they probably used a lot a lot of blood for that scene, or a lot of fake blood. Heather Langenkamp beat over 200 other actresses for the role of Nancy. Among the others were Jennifer Grey, Demi Moore, Courtney Cox, Tracy Gold, and Claudia Wales. Now, I'm not real familiar with Claudia Wales at the moment, but I know Jennifer Grey from Dirty Dancing. I don't think she would. I don't know. Demi Moore, yeah, Demi Moore could have pulled it off. Courtney Cox could have pulled it off. I mean, she played in Scream. She did fantastic in Scream. She probably could have pulled that off with no problem at all. Tracy Gold, um, maybe, maybe. I mean, she was good in in TV series. She was on TV. She was good. But I'm not familiar with Claudia Wells, so I don't know about her. But Jennifer Grey, I don't think she could have pulled that off. I'm sorry, but I don't. I don't think she could have pulled that one off. The scene where Freddy is set on fire and chases Nancy to the top of the stairs, falls back down, and starts back up again was all shot in one take with several cameras, and and it was the most elaborate fire scene ever filmed up to that time. So the one scene towards the end of the film, spoiler if you've never seen it, um, Freddie chases Nancy up to the top of the stairs, and then he falls back down. Then he gets right back up and goes right back upstairs on fire the whole time. Um, and apparently, as I read further on, just trying to make notes and stuff, um, it wasn't originally supposed to happen that way. Freddie was supposed to go up and reach the top of the stairs. Then they were going to come in with fire extinguishers and put him out. But the stunt man that filmed the scene ran up to the top of the stairs, fell down, and then got up and went back upstairs on purpose. Um, the whole time he was on fire, which is pretty cool and pretty remarkable, as a matter of fact. But I mean that's kind of wild um, for him to do that and and be spontaneous to create that scene the way he did. Um, that's amazing. That's amazing. If it wasn't for stuntmen, we wouldn't have movies. Okay. I mean, you got guys out there now that do their own stunts, like Jackie Chan. Schwarzenegger does some of his own stunts. I'm sure there's others that do. But if it wasn't for guys like this back in the day, we wouldn't have had movies like this. All the boiler room scenes were shot in the Lincoln Heights jail in Los Angeles, which was condemned shortly after production wrapped due to high levels of asbestos. Okay, that's pretty cool. I always thought they filmed those scenes in like a school, maybe an abandoned school in the boiler room of a school or something, but not. I never would have thought it would have been in a jail. That's pretty neat though. And finally, the scenes where Freddy's arms elongate were achieved by having men with fishing poles on either side of the alleyway operating a set of puppet arms attached to Robert England. That's pretty cool. That's pretty cool the way they did that scene. It's one of the most uh I don't know if you would call it one of the most iconic scenes out of the film, but it is a very memorable scene in that film when that takes place. To my understanding, if I read that correctly, I could be wrong. Don't quote me on it. It took It took around 3 to 4 hours to put all the makeup on Robert England to make him look like Freddy Krueger. 3 to 4 hours of just sitting in a chair watching people stick stuff to your face and your hands and all that. And that's crazy. That's crazy. But there are characters out there who play roles where the makeup takes longer than that. But that's just amazing to be able to sit there and have somebody put plastic all over your face and all that stuff. That's pretty cool. I would love to be one of the makeup guys that does that kind of stuff. That would be freaking awesome. That would be like a dream come true. That would be a dream come true. This is a fantastic horror film from the great Wes Craven. There will never be another Wes Craven. The man knew what he wanted to do in his films, and he did it. He wrote his own films. He directed he directed the films. He wrote a lot of them. So he was an all in kind of guy. Seemed like. There'll never be another director like Wes Craven. He is sorely, sorely missed, in my opinion. Um, but this is a great film. If you haven't seen this film before, definitely go check it out. And watch the other ones too. You might like them. But I mean, don't be surprised over the change. Like I said, from strictly horror to kind of horror comedy type deal. Um, there is still a strong horror aspect in all the other films. Don't get me wrong, but there's little snippets of one liners and things like that that kind of break the horror up a little bit and make it a little comedic, which adds to the character of Freddy so much. But they're good. They're good films. They're good films. I liked my favorite one was probably part three, the Dream Warriors. I love the Dream Warriors film. The entrance song by Dokken was just incredible. It was an incredible tune to have in that film. And it was a good film. Lawrence Fishburne was in that film, as a matter of fact. And it's a great one. I like the first one. I like the third one. Um, Probably the first four, I would say, are probably some of my favorite ones. Um, After that, it kind of got maybe a little monotonous, but I still watched the other ones. But I just kind of got burned out of it for a while, and I didn't watch them until after they had been out for a while. The other parts, um, part 1 through 4 though, I was right there. I was glued right there when they came out in the video store. If I wasn't going to the theater, I went right to the video store the day it come out and got them and watched them. But the other ones I kind of laid back a little bit because I just kind of burned out on it a little bit. But as all of you know, Jason, Friday the 13th. That's my favorite slasher killer. Um, it's in my opinion, this is my poll of the greatest, you know, the horror icons. It goes Jason, Michael, Freddy, Chucky, and then Ghostface. That's just my opinion. That's just my opinion. All the films are great. All the films that these characters are in are great. But that's just my favorite way to hit them. Um, so, but let me know down in the comments section below what you thought of this film after you've watched it, or if you've already watched it, let me know what your thoughts are on the film. Um, what was your favorite scene in the film? Put that down there below too. And what is your list of horror icons? How do they fall into place? I'd be kind of interested to know that. So coming up next week, we're gonna get back to normal. We're gonna have a classic movie buffet theater on Thursday, and then next Saturday will be another Mikey's Saturday Nightmares. So I will see you guys on Thursday, and until then, be safe. Have a great week. Thanks for watching, and I'll see you later. Bye bye.